Animals play an indispensable role in human life. In this world, each different animal corresponds to a deity. These divine beasts bestow blessings and their power upon all of humanity. Upon reaching a certain age, Sophia officially inherits the power of one of the thousands of divine beasts. Her classmates don't particularly like Sophia, because she has red hair. The main character also draws her assigned card. Lacking self-confidence, she wishes she would draw the divine mole, so she can stay in the shadows. Unexpectedly, fate leads Sophia to choose the card of the divine gorilla, completely the opposite of her personality. During recess, her classmates gather around to interrogate her about which card she received. Carissa, the leader of the girls, doesn't like her at all, so Sophia is often bullied. Everyone thinks that no matter what she chose, it wouldn't be as good as blonde hair. Fortunately, at this moment, a popular upperclassman comes to the school, attracting their attention. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the main character slips away to eat lunch at this Royal Academy for the children of prestigious nobles, which is immensely vast. Students are trained in everything in life, so they don't need to worry about the future. After attending for a while, Sophia realizes that the boys will try to create relationships so they have someone to support them after graduation. The young ladies choose an easier path: marry any handsome man from a powerful family. The ranking system here is determined by the social status of the family. Because she's only the daughter of a count from a remote region, the main character is often bullied, and no one hangs out with her. She's always alone in a corner. As she's about to take out an apple to eat, she gently squeezes it and the apple is crushed to pieces. Despite receiving incredible strength from the gorilla, she can't control it yet. Since receiving the blessing, she has unintentionally damaged many things. After talking to the headmaster, he's shocked by the main character's card, saying that this is a very rare ability, almost no one achieves it. He has been in the profession for many years, but this is the first time he's seen anyone draw the gorilla. According to records, it's so rare that it only appears once every 50 years. It's rumored that the blessing from the divine gorilla is the strongest in combat abilities. Physical strength is 7 times that of humans. And the grip strength is also terrible, reaching over 500 kilograms. One squeeze and you're dead. Because she possesses such a powerful blessing, she was invited to talk. While pondering, a small squirrel suddenly runs over begging for food. Sophia likes cute things like this, so she gives it her pastry. In the afternoon, after school, she goes to see the headmaster to ask what's going on. He says there's just been a letter of invitation for recruitment by the Royal Knights. She won't have to join immediately, however this is a good opportunity for development, and she has to pass the entrance exam too. If she passes, she will have to gain experience as a trainee knight. The main character also asks why her. Since she doesn't like it. The headmaster smiles and says that someone with the gorilla blessing must be in the warrior class. It would be a waste to not do anything with that kind of strength. In the past, people like her have all been like that. She's like, if this is a dream, please wake me up, it's so hard. The Royal Knight sounds noble, but it's too prominent for someone so insecure. If she refuses and her parents find out, she will surely be kicked out of the house for losing a good opportunity. Resisting the kingdom's orders will also lead to imprisonment. She reluctantly agrees, asking the teacher not to tell anyone about her abilities. Okay, rest assured, I'm tight-lipped. He also wishes his students success. Going outside into the garden, she sees that the bread has been eaten. Sophia thinks the squirrel ate it all. She's also currently having a headache because her peaceful life is about to be disrupted. To prevent that from happening, she thinks that on the day of the exam, she will pretend to fail, and that will be the end of it. Knights must of course be carefully selected, so if she just acts useless, she definitely won't be chosen. A few days later, the main character goes to the place where the test is held. Coincidentally, she sees an old man struggling with a cart. The cakes are ruined, and no one is helping him. With her compassionate nature, Sophia thinks she can help with the strength of the divine gorilla, but she doesn't want to stand out. After struggling with her conscience for a while, the main character finally decides to lend a hand. Unfortunately, after finishing, she gets lost and doesn't know where to go. While sitting sadly, a young man suddenly comes to ask her if she's okay. The special thing is that he is extremely handsome, causing Sophia to be mesmerized for a few seconds. She tells him that she's lost and hopes to receive help. After learning that she needs to get to the Royal Knight training area, he points in that direction. So she thanks him and leaves. Seeing this, the young man calls her back and uses a towel to wipe her face. She thinks he's drugging her to kidnap her, but the feeling of being cared for by a handsome man is really great. Not only that, he also makes plans to meet her again. But Sophia's mind is in the clouds. So she doesn't hear him. Finally, she arrives at the training area. There are many applicants, making the main character embarrassed because she doesn't know anyone. She wants to go home right now, but she still has to try to fail the exam, so she can win the life she has always wanted. She just hopes the exam will start quickly, because she's so embarrassed. At this moment, a group of people in royal attire walk in. Sophia recognizes that the young man who gave her directions is the examiner. The young man also thanks everyone for being here today, and introduces himself as Louis. The candidates call this young man the youngest knight, and his demeanor is different from the others here, even though his age isn't much different. The first test begins. They will test the acceleration ability of each person. When signaled, the candidates will have to run 100 to the finish line as quickly as possible. A young man who is confident in his legs steps forward to volunteer as a model. He introduces himself as Isaac. The examiner agrees and signals for him to start immediately. That friend rushes straight to the finish line in 10 seconds, astonishing everyone. Sophia thinks to herself, if everyone here is like this, I definitely can't pass. Later, it's her turn. Everyone focuses on her because of her striking red hair and her gender. The boys snicker at her appearance. Running in front of so many eyes is really embarrassing, so she wants to try to finish the test, forgetting about failing. As a result, the gorilla power in her body is activated. Sophia does one thing and crashes through a wall, then pretends to be scared after running past the finish line. The boys who witnessed this are terrified, but still wonder if she's hurt. The main character feels that her body was very light, like she could run forever. At this point, Sophia realizes that gorillas have a speed of about 40 kilometers per hour. The next test is climbing the tower and ziplining. Louis will time how long it takes them to slide down. The main character is speechless, because she's quite afraid of heights. After reaching the top, she's shocked, because looking down is really terrifying. The boys push each other to go first. Seeing this, a friend named Eddie models his ability. He easily slides down without any problems, with quick operations and absolute confidence. Reaching a certain height, this young man directly drops the rope to get down faster. While admiring this person's ability, the main character notices that the young man Isaac, although fast, is more afraid of heights than her. Feeling sorry, she comforts him, saying she will go down first as a support to make him less scared. And he can follow so he can complete the test. A girl offers to help, and the young man regains his spirit, but feels pathetic for having to rely on a weak girl. The first part may be right, but the second part is wrong. They introduce themselves and become friends, praising her name as very beautiful. They zipline down together in front of everyone's eyes. Despite trying, Isaac is still very scared. His friend advises him not to look down, so he closes his eyes and relies on the feeling in his feet to slide down slowly. At this moment, a strong gust of wind blows, causing the young man to lose his balance. As a result, he falls with his safety rope broken. Witnessing this scene, Sophia uses her gorilla power to grab her new friend. He thanks her, and the main character is proud of her ability. Despite holding him with one hand, she doesn't feel heavy at all. However, another accident occurs when the hook holding the rope cannot withstand the weight of the two people and breaks. The pair fall straight down, endangering their lives. Fortunately, the instincts of the gorilla are activated unconsciously. The main character switches to a position of holding Isaac hand in hand so she can bear all the damage. The impact causes the ground to shake, but the two are safe. Isaac is very grateful for being saved. He doesn't know what to do to repay his friend. People start paying more attention to this pair. Louis has to announce that the test will continue and they should go to their positions. Sophia is called to another place because she is injured in her hand. Being cared for like that, she looks again and sees that she really is bleeding. However, because she has the blessing of the divine gorilla, she doesn't feel any pain. Taking her to the infirmary, Louis also helps bandage her up, and sees that Isaac really likes this girl. He also chuckles at her cluelessness. At first, the main character thought this person was serious because he was an examiner. But he turned out to be quite easygoing. The young man then took her hand and massaged it, which surprised the gorilla girl. Sophia didn't think Louis would be embarrassed because of her. Actually, Louis was quite curious about the arm that had held Isaac to safely jump down. Based on the results of the speed test, he thought Sophia was talented in her legs, but unexpectedly, her arms were also so strong. When he asked Sophia why she was here, she couldn't possibly say that she was sent because she had the blessing of the gorilla god. Fortunately, Louis was understanding and didn't pry too much into her personal life. After the wound was bandaged, the female lead was escorted back outside. Currently, everyone was in the swordsmanship test. And everyone seemed tired but still had enough strength to break each other's weapons. Sophia was secretly happy that she was called down to the infirmary so she wouldn't participate in this test. Suddenly, she thought, could it be that she had already failed the test? This meant that she had achieved her goal of coming here, but she would never see Louis again. Sophia had to wake herself up to the fact that the two of them lived in different worlds. How could they possibly be in love? She would return to her ordinary life as she wished. In the afternoon, after everyone had completed the challenge, they were sent home to wait for the results. Louis also thanked the female lead for her hard work today. Thanks to Sophia, a life was saved, so they were very grateful. Isaac then ran to his new friend, expressing concern about whether her wound was okay. From the swordsmanship session until now, he had been afraid that something serious had happened to Sophia, so he stayed outside to watch. Sophia had to reassure him, saying I'm fine, and the young man sighed in relief. Isaac was then told by Lewis to thank her properly, and he also praised his legs as great, hoping to work together in the future. On the way home, the two of them praised Lewis as having no flaws. Isaac had known Lewis for a long time. Since he was 15 years old, he had been a member of the trainee night team, unlike them who had to wait for a blessing to participate in the exam. Lewis was the heir to a family that for generations had specialized in producing knights and commanders. His swordsmanship was the best in that team, but Lewis was not arrogant because he was talented, which is why everyone liked him. Isaac also admired him very much, so he tried to join the night team to follow in his footsteps. Hearing that, Sophia also admired him very much because he had a clear goal to strive for. She herself just wanted to be an ordinary person with a peaceful life. The gorilla power should have been given to someone with the will to succeed like Lewis. A little further on, they were surprised to see Eddie being bullied. They called him a bastard who dared to register here. Everyone laughed at this unhappy thing, so the two of them intervened. They looked at each other and smiled as if they understood each other, and then ran to invite Eddie to go home together. Hearing that, the group continued to laugh scornfully and then turned to target Sophia, attacking her for being a girl and also participating in the exam. Sophia didn't care and asked them to leave her friend alone. They agreed, but they had to beat her first. Isaac then stepped in, reasoned with them, it's not manly to lay hands on women. Eddie didn't plan to cause trouble at first, but he still had to punch one of them to let them know. He told the other two to leave it to them. Then the other one also rushed in and was beaten to a pulp. One of them then grabbed her wrist, which frightened Sophia. Instinctively, she yanked away, and as a result, the guy was slammed into a tree. Daring to mess with a gorilla is a big mistake. Sophia, embarrassed, turned to everyone and asked, "Can we talk calmly now?" After resolving the situation, the female lead sighed because she almost killed the guy. Isaac praised his friend, saying she was too amazing. Sophia, on the other hand, was sad because the two guys had called her a monster. When asked about where her strength came from, Sophia didn't dare to say. However, Eddie was the smart type and immediately guessed that Sophia's blessing was from the gorilla god. Considering what she had shown, it was completely in line with what he thought. There's no way a girl could support a person heavier than herself up so high. In addition, Sophia's stone running style surpassed even the fastest runner. Isaac chuckled, saying that the blessing of the dog could run even faster. Having been revealed as a gorilla, Sophia looked worried. But turning around, she saw that Eddie was jealous because he really wanted that ability. He thought his friend didn't know how amazing the gorilla's blessing was. Isaac was the same, so he was told. The speed of a gorilla can reach 40 kilometers per hour, muscle strength is 7 times that of a grown adult, grip strength can reach 500 kilograms, and after receiving the blessing, Sophia inherited all that strength. The ancients said that this wonderful blessing was one of the 2 types with the strongest fighting abilities in the world. Yet Sophia's personality didn't brag at all, and she even appeared timid, not like a gorilla at all. Isaac didn't understand much, but still praised the girl as great. Nevertheless, Eddie still thanked them for using their strength to help him. The trio of friends was thus formed. Isaac introduced himself as having received the blessing from the dog, and Eddie only said that he was 16 years old this year, and didn't say what his blessing was, because letting too many people know this could become a weakness. However, both of them stared wide-eyed at Sophia, who flinched and admitted that she had been blessed by the gorilla god. She also asked them to keep this a secret for her. Both agreed, because they'd just leave the clueless ones to their business. After introducing themselves, they realized that they were all the same age. Isaac also hoped that everyone would pass so that they could work together for a long time to come. Suddenly, the female lead's mood became much happier. Unfortunately, she wouldn't be able to see them again in the future because she would be eliminated. Unfortunately, things didn't go as Sophia thought. The headmaster said that Sophia had actually passed, even though she hadn't participated in some of the final exams. In general, he didn't know how they were graded, but in fact, her ability was highly rated. The girl lamented and complained because of that, she also passed. As a result, after school she would have to participate in trainee night training. The after effects of this haunted her until several lessons later. Her mind was like she was in the clouds. Suddenly at this time, 2 transfer students came to their class. The girls thought they were too handsome. After hearing the introduction, they realized that it was Isaac and Eddie. The female lead was startled, not wanting her classmates to know that they knew each other, so she tried to hide, but unfortunately Isaac recognized her and even called out her name loudly. Eddie had seen her from before and told him he was too talkative. Sophia also smiled and said goodbye to her peaceful school life. After going outside, she asked her 2 friends to keep secret the matter of joining the trainee night team. Although they didn't understand much, they still agreed. Isaac wondered why she had to hide that matter. Actually, in the female lead's eyes, these two young men had no less beauty than Louis, and if the girls hated her, knowing that she would be with them for a long time, she would die. She asked them to lie that they had only met each other once in the past. After returning, she was surprised to see a crowd gathering. Sophia then congratulated the two others on passing. Wondering which character was so popular, it turned out to be Louis. Seeing the three of them, he immediately greeted them, calling Sophia's name as if they were close, causing the whole school to glare. From now on, they would be studying together here, so he hoped to be taken care of. When asked why Louis was here, she learned that he was allowed to prioritize trainee night training, so he wasn't at school much, but in reality, he had been studying here before. The young man reintroduced himself as 18 years old this year, a senior, and also congratulated all three on passing. Before he could finish speaking, Sophia immediately covered his mouth and pushed him away. Fortunately, Louis was very strong, so he wasn't hurt. Asked what was wrong, Sophia asked him to keep it a secret. More importantly, there was a dark atmosphere behind them. As expected, after returning to her seat, the whole group swarmed her, Carissa wanting to know what her relationship was with the senior they admired. The female lead gently replied that the two of them had only met once, so there was no relationship. They didn't believe her because they saw Louis smiling and talking like that. In addition, she was also close to the two transfer students. They guessed that they knew each other from before and really wanted to know if Isaac and Eddie had girlfriends. At this rate, lunchtime would be over, so Sophia tricked them all into looking elsewhere, and used her gorilla speed to run away. Thinking that it was safe here, the two others came to sit together, and they were also surrounded, so they could finally eat. In the end, the female lead attracted even more attention. Eddie felt annoyed because the students at this school were really free. Asking what each other's hobbies were made him tired. Isaac, seeing that his friend was eating so little, wanted to share a piece of steak, which made the female students even angrier. Louis also came to have lunch afterwards. Tomorrow was the induction ceremony, and he also asked if they were ready. Before she could finish telling the story, the female lead hurriedly ate quickly to run away, otherwise she would get into trouble. Louis also showed concern, which made Sophia suddenly feel a sense of regret. While thinking, Louis chased after her and gave her some cake, thinking that she ate too little for lunch and was afraid she wouldn't have enough strength to train. Louis even asked her to keep it a secret from Isaac and Eddie, as if it was just for her. After being happy for a few seconds, she turned around and saw a group of female students burning with murderous intent, and Carissa had also seen it, demanding an explanation for this. The next day, Sophia went to the training grounds with her two friends, but she couldn't stop thinking about what happened yesterday. The girls, out of jealousy, swarmed her dormitory to cause trouble. Luckily, the quick-witted heroine claimed she'd known the upperclassmen since childhood and they'd only been together a few times. Carissa, hearing this, was satisfied, thinking that Louis would never waste his time on someone as clumsy as her. Thanks to that, she escaped the clutches of her friends, but the damage from those words really stung. Looking at herself, Sophia realized she never bothered to fix her hair or dress up. She was tall and lanky, with no meat on her bones. Being called clumsy was probably right. And on top of that, she got blessed by the gorilla god. If this got out, the whole school would laugh and she'd have nowhere to hide. The candidates were then gathered. At this time, the squad leaders came out to greet them and encourage them. Everyone here was an excellent warrior selected from countless young candidates, so they had to be ready to sacrifice themselves to protect the peace of the kingdom. Knights should be role models. Therefore, he didn't want anyone here causing trouble that would affect the whole squad. Everyone was proud and conscious of their position. Only Sophia didn't want to participate, so she hesitated. Just as she looked up, the squad leader singled her out and reminded her to take care of her bangs because they would interfere with combat. Isaac and Eddie, seeing their friend standing there like a statue, were a little worried. Because she'd been told that night the heroine tried to cut her bangs short herself, but they looked terrible. She imagined the two of them laughing at her country bumpkin hairstyle and felt embarrassed, but she had no choice and decided to just shave them off. Unfortunately, at that moment, the power of the gorilla activated and crushed the scissors. The heroine was indescribably sad because she still couldn't control this power. The next day, she chose to go to a barber shop because she couldn't do anything at home. There was a festival going on there, but Sophia had to cover herself up to avoid being seen. She wandered around trying to find a barber shop, but she couldn't find one. But there was a lot of food around, and everything looked delicious. Suddenly, Louis came up and called to her, startling her. The young man asked where she was going, and the heroine was so embarrassed that she had to cover her hair. He was quite familiar with the place and said to just tell him which shop she wanted to go to. Hearing this, the girl shyly asked where the barber shop was to fix her hair. She'd always cut her own hair at home, so she didn't know any places. The couple then went to find a friend of Louis to ask for help. The older brother had a scary face, along with a long scar, which frightened Sophia. She had to ask again if this was a barber shop. Because he looked so dangerous. The older brother was quite curious because he rarely saw Louis bring a girl. After introducing her as his junior, he was even more excited. The heroine was horrified and thought that this guy was a mercenary, not a barber. The girl was asked to take off her scarf, and after looking her over, he was shocked by the messed up bangs. Usually people use scissors, but this guy specializes in using a knife to cut hair, saying that the damaged part needs to be handled carefully and gently. It's just that his tone of voice was like he wanted to eat people alive. Luckily, Louis spoke up and said that the boss used to be in the night squad, so don't worry. He looks scary, but he's very kind. Asking the heroine what kind of haircut she wanted, she only asked to make it shorter. Hearing this, the boss remembered that there was a tea party organized by the school coming up, so he wanted to choose a style that would allow her to feel confident in front of her friends. The bangs would have to be fixed, but the length was still good, so he left it as it was. The upperclassman then excused himself to continue his patrol and left this to the kind older brother. Sophia didn't dare to open her eyes, she only knew to pray to God to help her return alive. Later, when she opened her eyes, she was shocked at how amazing the hairstyle was. To the point where she didn't even recognize herself. The boss praised her face as very beautiful, so she should take care of herself. Louis also finished his work and changed into his casual clothes. The young man also praised the style as very suitable. She had to thank the scary boss a lot, after asking about the fee. The upperclassman left first. The barber said that it had already been paid, so just go home. Hearing this, she quickly ran after Louis to thank him. Actually, yesterday she felt that the squad leader's reminder was a bit too much and she should have reminded her from the beginning, but she forgot, so she considered the payment to be an apology. Being cared for by a handsome guy, the heroine was quite happy, and went to the bakery where the upperclassman had stopped before. Guessing that he liked this kind of thing, she took the initiative to invite him. To be honest, he quite liked sweets, but there were only girls inside, so he was a little embarrassed to go in. Sophia guessed that the reason was probably because the girls were all staring at him, so he was embarrassed. At first, the heroine was also worried that if she invited him in and happened to be seen by the girls at school, then her life would be over. While Louis really wanted to try this shop out. Seeing that cute face, Sophia regained her courage, the gorilla's power surged. And crushed the difficulty in front of her. And then she took the initiative to invite Louis, so it would be less embarrassing. After a while, sure enough, the young man was noticed by the girls. If he went alone, it would probably be chaotic. Sophia now understood the pressure the upperclassman had to endure. Fortunately, when he came in, he only looked to see if there was anything delicious, and didn't bother to pay attention to the surroundings. When it came time to order, the heroine only chose one type of strawberry cake, while Louis put on an eager face and ordered a whole bunch. He even asked to prepare a few types for him to take home. Seeing Sophia looking at him, the young man explained that he didn't get to eat like this often. So he had to take the opportunity. Later, a whole table of sweets was brought out. Louis was like a 3-year-old who had just been bought a toy by his parents. Completely different from the serious upperclassman at school. Seeing him happy like this was also good because she had repaid him for the haircut earlier. The young man also had to thank her. It was fortunate that she was there today, so he was able to enjoy so many sweets. Sophia thought that he had no shortage of people to go with, so next time he should just ask someone else. But Louis said that he didn't know anyone. Although there were a lot of girls surrounding him and even rumors about a fiancé, he said that he didn't have any engagement with anyone. Before completing the goal, he said, he would still be the same as he is now and couldn't think about marriage. Hearing this, she was quite curious about what goal he had. Later, the young man asked about her having the blessing of the gorilla, and said that he didn't mean to pry, he just thought her abilities were amazing and didn't want to force Sophia to tell the truth. The heroine was a little disappointed in herself for revealing it to the upperclassmen, but seeing that both sides were in the night squad, she would definitely be found out, so she told the truth. She also said that she must be very strange because she, a girl, had such a violent power. She was afraid that she would be hated, but on the contrary, Louis admired her for always caring for others before herself. Surely that kindness was seen by the gorilla god, so he chose her. That power was the power used to help others. The heroine asked again if he didn't hate her for having this ability. The young man completely had no problem, he was just a little worried because she was a girl. Even though she had a powerful blessing, she could still encounter difficulties, unlike the men. He also told her that if she had any difficulties, just tell him, don't be afraid, he would help if he could. On the way home, the heroine imagined herself being liked by the upperclassmen, and then reminded herself that there was no way that would happen. Louis was just kind in the way of a junior. Only now did she notice that she didn't know what his blessing was at all. Remembering the principal's words about how besides the gorilla, there was another type that was just as strong. Suppose he had the same blessing as her, he would probably be very happy. Changing the scene to the squad leaders at the night squad, the blonde one just looked at Sophia's file and was quite surprised that she had the gorilla blessing. The friend, seeing the chief looking so intently, was also curious and guessed that there were many interesting kids among the new recruits this year. As for the heroine, she was currently being chased by a group of girls, but fortunately she was used to escaping, so she ran away immediately. Isaac then looked sad that his friend didn't wait for him. Eddie was also tired from having to practice with two people who had their stamina. He also knew that there would be a shooting test later, while Isaac was completely clueless about this. Immediately afterwards, the new recruits were introduced to the current guns. Sophia and Isaac also joked that they were afraid they would explode. To ensure safety, each person would be given armor made from people with the blessing of the spider. Even if they were shot, their lives would not be in danger. Just then, squad leader Lur, who had the blessing of the bird, came to see how talented the new recruits were. The others were nothing special, but Lur was extremely talented in aiming and shooting. The squad leader guessed that he was from the Fett family, so he was so good. He didn't like talking about his family, so he didn't answer. It was the heroine's turn, and she thought to herself that she had to at least try to stay safe. The next second, she crushed the gun. The squad leader laughed because he didn't expect this to happen. Lur also praised the younger sister as amazing, calling Sophia the gorilla girl. After the test, he thought that after becoming an official, there would be a few who were capable of joining his shooting squad. However, he also showed them what it really meant to be talented. Just like that, Lur flew up and shot every bullseye. Everyone had to admire the performance. On the way back, they praised Lur wholeheartedly and also admitted that Sophia was no less talented. He said that he was recruited thanks to that incident. No wonder he was so good at shooting. They talked about the party next week. Sophia had forgotten about it, even though she was reminded by the barber the other day. The two of them were looking forward to seeing their friend in a dress. Hearing this, she was also embarrassed because she had never been to a party before, so she didn't have a dress prepared. As for the squad leaders, they were gathered. Lur talked about the new recruit who had the gorilla blessing, in a very happy mood. The squad leader reminded him to keep a sense of proportion, however, he had his eyes on the prey Sophia, so he wouldn't let her get away. A few days later, Sophia's family sent her a new dress. The problem was, it was so brightly colored that she didn't dare wear it. Sophia also considered skipping the party altogether, but she was afraid her friends would tease her. Although she felt a bit guilty towards her parents for going to the trouble of sewing a new dress, Sophia reluctantly put it away to find something else. After arriving at the student party, Sophia noticed that everyone was in pairs. Carissa arrived with someone else, and even recognized the dress the main character was wearing. It turned out Sophia was wearing something from middle school. Thankfully she wasn't caught. Carissa's companion introduced himself as Leo. He seemed quite interested in the main character, but before he could continue, Carissa cut in, asking if Sophia dared to attend the party without a partner. Hearing this, the main character became quite sad because she didn't have anyone to accompany her. Just as she was thinking of running out of the party, Sophia bumped into Louis. He called her by her full name, which the main character didn't understand. Suddenly noticing that she was crying, Louis asked what was wrong. Sophia pretended that dust had gotten in her eyes, but ended up being grabbed by the hand and taken to the infirmary. Feeling too pressured, the girl finally admitted that she didn't have a partner to attend the party. After saying this, Sophia felt terrible for suddenly confessing this to her senior. Unexpectedly, Louis was also alone, so he wanted the two of them to pair up, that way they would be eligible to participate. Returning to the main hall, everyone began to wonder who the girl accompanying Louis was. Sophia had to ask again to make sure that it was okay for him to be with her, worried that many girls had already asked him. Louis said that this was actually the first time he had heard about having a partner. He was only asked if he was going to attend the party, but no one had ever invited him to go with them. Hearing this, the main character misunderstood all sorts of things. Carissa and her group of girls, seeing their intimate scene, were not happy at all, wanting to remind the main character of her place. And so, the three friends stood up to greet her again, also not expecting the main character to be waiting for their Louis. One of them approached, pretending to hand Sophia a glass of water, but before she could take it, the other girl let go. With the reaction of a gorilla, the main character made an extremely quick catch, scaring the friends half to death. Carissa didn't understand what had just happened, so she temporarily retreated, thinking of another way. The senior, having seen this scene, praised Sophia for catching it so well, without spilling a single drop. The main character then had to ask about the thing about calling her by her full name in the hallway, not just once, but throughout the conversation he seemed wary. Louis then leaned close to Sophia's ear, saying that this morning some organization had sent a letter threatening that explosives had been planted here. It's also possible that this was just a prank. However, we still need to be careful. There are many students attending the party today. It is very likely that the senders of the letter are targeting the children of powerful families. The Knight's Order had proposed canceling the party, but it was rejected. The parents of the students reacted too strongly, so they only knew how to raise their vigilance and ensure security. He himself is participating in this party, on the surface, to secretly investigate as well. Isaac and Eddie have already taken action, which is why they can't be seen. The main character is a promising rookie, so she also needs to assist in the investigation. That's why he called out her name in such a serious manner, like two people in the Knight's Order. After receiving the order, Sophia had to take Lewis's hand to investigate. Lewis thought that if they were partners, they should be like this, so as not to be suspected. Although a little shy, this was work, so she tried to hide her face to avoid being hated by others. Carissa, witnessing this scene, was spitting blood because they were even more intimate than before. The couple wandered around on the upper floor, but saw nothing but piercing stares directed at the main character. Just as she was thinking of standing away from Lewis a bit, the blonde-haired group came to make trouble. Carissa took the initiative to say hello, and Lewis also replied, thanking her for always being so close to Sophia. After hearing this, Carissa suddenly became uneasy because they weren't close at all. Another one then approached the main character, using scissors to ruin her dress. Although she had noticed, she was afraid of hurting her friend with the power of the gorilla, so she let it be. Seeing this, Lewis stood up and exposed that girl, flinging away the scissors, asking what she was planning to do, to which she explained that she was just joking. Lewis reasoned that even though they were scissors, they were still sharp enough to hurt someone. Sophia knew the story was going too far, so she stepped in to stop it. Unexpectedly, after seeing her arm being cut, Lewis used his jacket to cover it, and even caught the girl when she slipped and fell. Taking advantage, Lewis just carried her away in front of everyone's eyes. The sisterhood cheered as if it were the right thing to do, only Carissa was very annoyed. The couple then went outside, Lewis muttering to himself that he couldn't protect a girl. How terrible. The main character, of course, didn't care because she was also a knight, and a gorilla at that. Sophia asked to be put down, but Lewis wanted to take her to buy another dress. Out of options, she admitted that she still had a dress that she hadn't worn yet. At first, she didn't think she would need to use it, but in the end she had to wear it to save money on buying another dress. At this moment, Sophia just wanted to run away somewhere far, but thinking of Lewis getting angry with her, she didn't dare to keep him waiting. Not wanting to make Lewis worry any longer, she also cleaned herself up to look like a rookie of the Knight's Order. After changing, she quickly ran downstairs, only to meet Leo here. He felt honored that the main character remembered his name. When asked about Leo not being with Carissa, he exposed her, saying that she was busy hanging out with friends, so she left him behind. The other party lightly touched her chin, praising Sophia for having such a beautiful face but not wearing makeup, what a waste, and even enticing her to say that he could help her become even more beautiful. Sophia then swatted his hand away, saying she was in a hurry, but he blocked her path, saying he was too lonely. Suddenly, Isaac and Eddie called out, so he gave up because he knew they were Sophia's knights. The main character still didn't understand anything. But she surprised her friends with her beauty. Isaac curiously asked who that guy from earlier was, and she said she had only just met him and didn't know his background. Isaac reiterated the incident in the school, suspecting that there was a bomb. Although they had searched everywhere, they still hadn't found anything. So, it's highly likely that this was just a prank by someone. Although it was a bit late, the two still asked their friend to come to the party to eat and drink, while also reporting back to their senior about the search results. Just as they were about to leave, the main character was suddenly called back by Eddie. He looked at her and said this wasn't good, so he dragged her away to put on makeup. She couldn't have that sleepy face. Later, Sophia returned with a completely different look, making everyone look up. They didn't expect their school to have such a beautiful student. Lewis was also stunned for a moment. The three dreamy knights escorted Sophia inside, making her feel ashamed. The surprising thing was that she didn't know who Eddie had learned makeup from, but he was even better than a girl. Sophia suddenly realized that these two didn't have partners either, so she asked. They looked surprised, not understanding what she was saying. This is a party for students in the school, so why do we need someone to go with us? At this moment, she realized that she had been tricked by Carissa from the start, so she had to apologize to Lewis for making everyone misunderstand that they were a couple. Lewis didn't care about that, saying he was happy too, so don't worry. Isaac then made a reservation, wanting her to be his partner next year. The enemy, standing from afar, couldn't accept this scene. All dressed up and escorted by the three most handsome young men in the school, it was unforgivable. The two friends following Carissa were scared, and didn't dare to touch the main character. Out of options, this time the blonde will take action herself. Later, Sophia saw a scene of a friend looking for something and also came over to ask. The friend also said that she had lost an important earring and had to find it again. Sophia then said she knew where it had fallen and lured the friend to follow. The kind main character agreed to help. What the heck, she was taken to the old part of the school. After finding the earring that had fallen inside the room, the door outside was closed along with an apology. It turned out that Carissa had forced this girl to do as she was told, and before leaving, she also promised to come and let her out at the end of the party, leaving Sophia speechless. Even so, she didn't blame her because she knew that the girl's status wasn't high and it was understandable that she was being bullied. So she decided to help her and lock herself in here. If she used the power of the gorilla god, these wooden doors wouldn't be a problem. Since she was sitting in a box, later some people misunderstood that this was merchandise and moved it to another place. Afraid of startling people, Sophia remained silent. The feeling was like a gorilla being imprisoned. Sophia was then taken to the third floor. The porters had no intention of checking what was inside the box, so they just left, and as a result, she wasn't discovered. The gorilla girl waited for things to quiet down before using her strength to punch her way out of the wooden crate. She didn't want to go back to the party, so her only option was to stay here. Although she felt a bit sad, she consoled herself by thinking, just a little longer. Without me there, everyone can talk to Louis more comfortably. While she was sitting there deep in thought, she suddenly heard a noise. At first, she was a little scared, but when she opened her eyes, she saw it was a little squirrel. That evening, Isaac and Eddie started looking for their missing friend, calling her name all around. They were planning to scold her once they found her for making them worry. Back upstairs, Sophia couldn't understand how the squirrel had gotten in, but after looking closely, she remembered it was the same one she had given a pastry to before. She considered it her little savior. Being alone in this place was indeed a bit scary. The squirrel gestured as if to ask why she didn't leave, and Sophia explained that she'd stay a little longer, it would be better for everyone that way. Even though she said that, the truth was that she still wanted to be near her upperclassmen until the very end. Hearing this, the squirrel seemed to understand and came over to comfort her. Looking at herself in the mirror, the heroine couldn't help but feel a bit regretful. After all, she had gotten all dolled up today, and it would have been nice if Louis had looked at her just a little longer. It wasn't like she wanted compliments or anything, but just being near that guy made her feel genuinely happy. Outwardly, she acted like she wanted to give others a chance to talk to him, but deep down, part of her didn't want him chatting with any other girl. She knew she had no real shot at love, that she was just being looked after like a junior, but still, she couldn't help but hope. At the same time, she asked herself, why am I even thinking like this? Outside, the sound of fireworks signaled that the party was about to end. Sophia wondered if her upperclassman was now watching the fireworks beside someone else. And suddenly, she realized maybe she had actually fallen for him. Just thinking about him made her heart race, and the idea of another girl standing beside Louis made it ache. So this is what it feels like to have a secret crush, she thought. She thanked the little squirrel for listening to her rambling, and even asked it to keep everything a secret. Just as she finished speaking, she heard another strange noise. Remembering the mysterious letter from earlier, she decided to investigate on her own. Sophia broke open the door and stepped out, eventually discovering someone inside a nearby room. Her gorilla instinct warned her that something bad was going down. Sneaking in to check, she overheard two unfamiliar men talking about the party. She guessed they were the ones who had sent the letter. Not knowing what to do, she tried to quietly retreat, but too late. They spotted her. One of them pulled a knife and warned her not to scream. They told her to come closer, but of course she didn't listen. She tried to threaten them with a stick, but ended up crushing it in her hand like a twig. The attackers were stunned, but one still lunged forward, probably thinking he could teach her a lesson. Big mistake, he got absolutely wrecked, beaten to a pulp, unable to utter a single word after that. Once it was over, Sophia even apologized, saying she might have gone a little overboard. The other guy was about to attack, but before he could do anything, his weapon was knocked right out of his hands. With a serious expression, the heroine asked if he wanted to end up like his buddy. That was enough to make him surrender on the spot. After tying them up, she tried to interrogate them, but the guy played stubborn and refused to answer. Since she had to keep watch over the two of them, Sophia couldn't leave to get help. The little squirrel then warned her of an imminent danger. So the letter about the bomb wasn't just a prank? Sophia asked. When she tried to get information on how to stop the bomb, the man coldly replied, "We were prepared to die from the beginning. Dying for our cause leaves us no regrets." Wow, how touching, she thought sarcastically, trying to figure out who these people really were. Based on the situation, the heroine made a quick decision to handle the bomb herself. This one was clearly no training dummy, it was the real deal. Though she hesitated, she psyched herself up, thinking, if I go call Louis now, I might drag him and everyone else into this mess. She told the squirrel to run far away, then picked up the bomb herself. Judging by the structure, it should be fine with a bit of shaking, she guessed. So, instead of running down the stairs, she jumped straight out the third-floor window. The guy who saw it was stunned, completely speechless at how reckless she was. Thanks to the power of the gorilla god, she managed to grab onto a tree and land safely. Since no one had noticed her yet, she carried the bomb to a deserted area. She didn't know how powerful it was, but the fear of her friends getting hurt drove her to act. She couldn't allow anyone to be caught in the blast. She ran all the way to the other side of the grounds, then collapsed at the base of a tree, exhausted, completely forgetting she was still holding a live bomb. And as if that wasn't enough, she was even thinking of using her gorilla strength to suppress the explosion. Seriously, just then, the little squirrel came running back to her side. It didn't want her to get hurt and tried using its strength to slow down the timer. Seeing that, Sophia started to panic. Just as the fireworks lit up the sky again, an idea flashed through her mind: go big or go home. In those final seconds, she timed it perfectly with the next firework burst and kicked the bomb into the air. Luckily, the explosion synced with the sound of the fireworks, so everyone thought it was just part of the show. The party continued peacefully, although a few sharp-eyed individuals suspected that something was off, that wasn't an ordinary firework. After that dramatic move, the heroine sat there gasping for air, still shaken. Thankfully, Isaac arrived just in time, saying he had been searching for her all evening. She tried to hold back her tears, but when Eddie came running up as well, she couldn't stop a few from falling, leaving the two guys completely confused. Saying her legs had gone numb, they helped her back to rest. Eddie originally planned to scold her, but seeing her like that, he dropped it. Sophia apologized for making them worry. More importantly, Eddie asked where on earth she'd been hiding the whole time. It took them forever to find her. But how could she say, "I got tricked by a classmate and locked in a crate," so she skipped over that part and instead talked about discovering intruders sneaking into the old building and that they had planted a bomb. It was then that Eddie realized the recent explosion wasn't from fireworks, it was the actual bomb. The gorilla girl just grinned and said, "I kicked it into the sky," leaving both of them speechless. Thankfully, no one got hurt. Turns out, the reason no one had detected anything earlier was because the culprits only brought the bomb shortly before the detonation time. When asked about the intruders, Sophia said they were tied up in a room. Right then Louis showed up while on duty. Hearing what had happened, the group quickly reported everything to him. Sophia was so embarrassed she couldn't even look him in the eye, but oddly, he seemed upset. Even after she apologized for leaving the party and acting on her own, he didn't say much. He simply told her they'd talk in detail another day, then walked off without another word. He asked Eddie to escort her back to rest, and assigned Isaac to write up a report. Sophia suddenly felt disheartened, like she had somehow made him hate her. The next day at school, something unexpected happened. Those mean girls actually came over to apologize. Carissa didn't want to talk at first, but eventually confessed everything. Turns out, a student had seen everything they did to Sophia the day before and reported it to a teacher. After that, all of them got called in for a little chat. Now they were bowing their heads and apologizing, leaving the heroine stunned. She hadn't expected things to turn out this way at all. The blonde one admitted to all her wrongdoings, and even the bullied girl beside her confessed that their excessive jealousy had clouded their judgment, which led to those trashy decisions. Being the kind-hearted person she was, Sophia accepted their apology. Just then, Louis and a few friends happened to pass by downstairs, distracting her for a moment. Seeing the guilt on Carissa's face, Sophia reassured them that she and Louis weren't even that close, definitely not in the way they'd imagined. Thinking about everything that had happened, she realized it was like one big firework, loud, bright and over in a flash. In fact, she half-jokingly said she should thank them for locking her up in the first place. If they hadn't, she wouldn't have gotten the chance to discover the bomb and stop it before it hurt anyone. Carissa didn't fully understand what she meant but chuckled anyway. She found Sophia more interesting than she'd thought, and somehow, the atmosphere between them suddenly felt more comfortable. The girls started to warm up to her, chatting more casually, even complimenting the stunning red dress she wore the night before. They said Sophia had a beautiful figure and told her to walk with confidence instead of always hunching and shrinking back. They were planning to go out for tea and invited Sophia alone. Though surprised by how pushy they were, she felt genuinely a bit happier. Still, she couldn't shake the lingering fear, the fear that she might never be able to talk to Louis the same way again. As autumn turned to winter, the weather grew cold, much like the way Louis had been avoiding Sophia. It was now the third month since she joined the night apprentice squad. Ultimately, since the day the school was bombed, there had been no further developments. The two tied-up perpetrators had also escaped. Many questions arose, such as how they managed to infiltrate the school so easily and whether there was an insider. Most importantly, the heroine herself hadn't been able to talk to her upperclassmen. Sophia assumed that her actions that day had been reckless, causing him to dislike her. She ran to the training grounds to find Isaac and Eddie already there. They informed her of an upcoming colonial training trip in a few days. When that day arrived, the situation was incredibly awful, beyond imagination. The rookie group had to hike to the mountain peak in the snow. Only Isaac seemed excited, thanks to the blessing of the dog god, which kept him warm, unlike the heroine and Eddie. The goal of this training was to build physical strength and endurance to withstand any harsh environment. Therefore, each person had to carry heavy luggage. They had to reach the peak by nightfall and descend the next morning without rest. Soon, several people complained that their shoulders were about to break from the weight. Even Sophia, with her gorilla strength, found it difficult. Eddie's condition worsened as he couldn't tolerate the cold. The heroine offered to carry some of his luggage, but he refused, saying it wouldn't be training. As they climbed higher, the air thinned, and the path narrowed. Exhausted, a friend slipped and fell. Without hesitation, Sophia reached out to catch him and called him back to consciousness. She tried to pull him up, but the ground was too slippery, causing both of them to fall. However, with her gorilla reflexes, she managed to throw her friend upwards, taking the brunt of the fall herself. Seeing this, Lewis jumped down to save them. After a while, the heroine finally woke up. Luckily, there was thick snow beneath, preventing injuries. However, her whole body began to ache from the extreme weather. They couldn't return in this condition, so she looked for a place to spend the night. Since she fell first, she didn't realize Lewis was also there. Fortunately, there was an abandoned house nearby where they could rest. To survive, she needed to build a fire to stay warm. Just as she was celebrating surviving thanks to her gorilla strength, the heroine realized that the fire-starting stones were lost somewhere. Without fire to stay warm, she would surely freeze to death, so Sophia decided to look for them. By this time, it was dark outside, accompanied by a strange knocking sound. She assumed it was a bear or wild animal, making her scared, even though she was gorilla-blessed. Thinking that she might be able to win against a bear, but against a ghost, even a gorilla would be helpless. Summing up her courage, Sophia opened the door but found no one, making her think it was a ghost. Looking down, she suddenly saw Tiny Squirrel lying unconscious with a set of fire-starting tools. Thanks to this, the heroine had something to combat the cold. She was surprised that Tiny Squirrel was similar to the one at school and even brought the tools for her. Too scared to be with the ghost, Sophia decided not to sleep. However, her body was too exhausted, so she fell asleep without knowing when. Early the next morning, she vaguely dreamed of being too comfortable and warm. When she fully woke up, she found that the fire was still burning, and her upperclassman was sleeping right next to her without any clothes on. The heroine even thought she had died, and this was just an illusion before dying. Lewis then opened his eyes and noticed the issue, so he huddled up under the blanket. Both sides were embarrassed, but this couldn't continue. The boy asked the heroine to help him find his clothes because they fell nearby, so she found them, but they needed to be dried first. When asked why he was here, he said that when he saw her falling, he jumped in after her, and now he thinks the decision was really stupid. He didn't think about anything at that moment. Luckily, he landed safely but in a different spot. That's how the boy wandered around looking for her. At this point, Lewis was too embarrassed to tell everything, so he's thinking about what to say. Sophia, however, needs to know the truth, so he tells her the whole story, no matter what she says. The easiest way to help the heroine understand what's going on is to turn into a squirrel. Sophia's mouth dropped open because she didn't understand what was going on. After getting dressed, Lewis continued telling the story. First, he has the blessing from the squirrel god that normally is supposed to help increase agility, but because Lewis's blessing is so much stronger than normal, he can actually turn into a squirrel for short periods of time. After turning back into a human, there are some side effects, and at times he'll act like a squirrel. Because this blessing isn't easy to use, the only positive thing is that he keeps his consciousness. Last night, he took advantage of his agility to find her and accidentally found the fallen bag of tools. Having to drag the bag through the cold made his body run out of strength, and as a result he passed out in front of the house. The reason why he would act so dangerously, of course, it's because of the heroine. Despite this, he thought the action he took when he kicked the bomb previously had caused him to dislike her. Lewis then apologized for misunderstandings. He told the truth, he was the squirrel the heroine met at the party, and he has always been by her side. On top of that, the squirrel that she gave a pastry to was actually him. Suddenly, Sophia remembered what had happened and started sweating bullets because she confessed her love to him, wanting to be with him for life. And now he knows she likes him a lot. All of those emotions were shared with that squirrel. Thinking about this, the heroine started blushing, but she had to ask again just to be sure, "Did you hear all of that stuff?" Lewis shyly responds but says, "It's not like I did it on purpose, I just transformed so I could find you fast." Since he can't just let Sophia continue like this, Lewis took his courage and confessed his feelings, telling her, "This is the first time that someone has liked me like you have, so I'm very embarrassed, that's why I've been avoiding you. A lot of girls have confessed to me, but I have never had anyone confess like you." Sophia was shocked that Lewis wouldn't realize he was so popular. That night, Lewis was going to get out of there but suddenly heard a strange sound. That's when the bombing attempt happened. Thankfully they had found the bomb, and Lewis was so scared when he saw Sophia trying to carry it as a sacrifice. Thankfully she was able to kick the bomb away, protecting the school and his friends. He admits that he made the mistake of making it seem like he didn't like her. Lewis responds that he loves her the same way, and that's how a man should act. After falling, Lewis realized that his heart was set on her ever since he met her. He just didn't know at that time what those feelings were. Hearing those words made Sophia happy. Lewis explained that every time he saw her with other people, he would start getting restless, and because he loves her he wants to be with her for the rest of his life. He knows that he should have confessed earlier but waited until he heard the heroine reveal her feelings. He knew he was terrible, so he repeated that he loves her and asks, "Can you love someone like me?" The heroine said with shame that she says yes out of spite since she loves him a lot. As they made it this far, they couldn't back down even though they felt shameful. The heroine used her gorilla power to repeat her feelings. She has never been in love, so she is a bit confused and nervous. She even started to cry because she thought he didn't like her, and the pain was so strong that she wished she never met him. As she was saying that, Louis quickly holds her in his arms and said, "Sorry for everything." She forgave him, and Louis tried to kiss her. However, Sophia froze as he started approaching. Unfortunately, Isaac bursts into the house and startles them. The heroine wonders how he found them, and he explains, "I smelt you." Isaac asks Sophia if she is alright, and when he sees Louis, he looks at him with pity. It was said that the small girl punched through the wall and made Louis shake in fear. However, he tried to act tough and said, "I'm fine," and was willing to take whatever comes. In another development, the individuals responsible for the school bombing reported the situation to their superior, Leo. He assessed that school as the most important location for carrying out their purposes. Recalling his encounter with Sophia, this guy was quite interested, thinking that things would become much more interesting soon. The scene shifts to a few weeks after the snow mountain training. Sophia was in a pretty good mood today because everything was as she wanted. At this moment, Isaac ran up with a pine tree, leaving her confused. He gasped for breath, saying running straight here with this tree was really intense. He then invited Sophia to participate in the Christmas party. 2. Whenever this time of year came, most of her classmates chose to return home to be with their families. The kids who frequently teased Sophia had also all left, with only a small number of students staying behind, so everyone made plans to organize a party for fun. Eddie came up to her, handing her a few items to help with decorating. After surviving nearly dying the other day, he was still quite awkward about not being able to say thank you. With everything prepared, upperclassman Louis also showed up with a cake to celebrate with everyone. The girls, seeing this, crowded around, thinking that this Christmas was truly amazing. If they couldn't be with their families, at least they got to be with a handsome guy. Since the mountain training, this couple had been too busy to talk much. Sophia recalled the kiss from that day and was relieved because it wasn't a dream. But then she was frightened, because if everyone here knew that the two of them were seeing each other, she was finished, this life would be over. So the gorilla like Sophia immediately snuck off somewhere else to avoid him. Louis chased after her, calling out, wanting to talk. Sophia was afraid that someone would see, so she was very wary, looking around. Basically, since the confession of feelings that day, the two of them still hadn't officially started dating, so they were a bit awkward. Sophia was as quiet as a clam, not knowing what to do. Adding to it, that dude said he'd done a little research, and in moments like these, hugging each other was the best approach, so they tried it out, and at the same time, he said, "I miss you so much," which made Sophia feel happy but also too embarrassed, afraid that she wouldn't be able to control herself and would end up sending her upperclassmen flying off. Being close to each other like this. Sophia also smelled his body's pleasant fragrance. After a little while like that, she separated to avoid being discovered. Just as someone was coming, she managed to run away just in time. Inside the party, Louis was still the center of attention. Sophia sat eating, and seeing this scene, she wasn't jealous. Because in reality, she was already used to the fact that her upperclassman was liked by the female students. Just then, Eddie came up to start a conversation. He saw that Sophia was eating too little, wondering if she was getting enough nutrition. Also, he had a special gift to give to her. Sophia opened it up to see what it was, and she saw that it was a hairpin, which looked very beautiful. He often saw her tying up her hair during training, so he proactively bought this for her, so it would be more convenient. It was also a gift to thank Sophia for saving his life on the snow mountain. And there were a few other reasons, but he was too shy to say them. Seeing Sophia ask too many questions, Eddie also got annoyed, saying that if she didn't like it, she could just return it. Sophia, of course, accepted the gift, so then he left feeling relieved. Sophia thought that young man was too polite. After eating, the gorilla like Sophia was again approached by Isaac to start a conversation. He had also prepared a gift, but he was too shy to give it in a crowded place. So the two of them made plans to go somewhere else private to talk. He handed the gift over to Sophia, and Sophia accepted it. Inside was a warm scarf, which looked very pleasing. Isaac praised Sophia for being extremely kind. Since the first time they met, he had felt this way. Before that, even though he was also afraid, Sophia bravely stood up and encouraged their spirits, so the two of them could overcome it together. Not only that, but she had also saved his life. Thinking back to that, it was really fun. Thanks to that, he himself got to know Sophia. That young man also intended to express his feelings, because he also liked her very much. It's just that he was too embarrassed, not knowing how to confess in a way that would be appropriate. Isaac's entire body was trembling, struggling to force out the words, "Could you be my girlfriend?" Just as he got to the part where he was about to say it, suddenly a bucket fell straight down onto his head. The headmaster was the one who caused this incident, but luckily, he wasn't injured at all. Sophia, seeing this, burst out laughing because it was too funny. She sent her thanks, because she never thought she'd get to receive a Christmas present from a friend like today. This statement made Isaac both happy and sad. Sad because the two of them were only friends, which was truly heartbreaking. That night, when she got back to her room, Sophia was very pleased because she had received gifts from her two close friends. Thinking about this, she also had to buy and give something in return, because that's only right. But her biggest regret was probably not getting to talk much with the person she loved. Suddenly, that young man called at the door from outside, which made Sophia feel surprised. What's more, he even dared to sneak into the female dormitory. What nerve! Left with no other choice, Sophia had to pull the guy into the room to have a heart-to-heart. A single female and a single male being in the room like this was truly a bit something. Sophia was sweating buckets and got asked if she was already asleep. If she was already asleep, then they could talk another day. She was curious, not understanding how that upperclassman dared to come all the way here. Louis then took out a gift to give, for the occasion of Christmas. Opening it up to see what it was a very beautiful bracelet. It was red, which suited her very well. At first, he was even planning to give a ring, but he'd gotten advice from an older guy that doing that would be too heavy, and there was the possibility of getting rejected. So he switched to this item. Sophia, hearing this, was gaping in shock, because rings were for engagements. She also tried it on so that the young man could see it. Louis praised it, and then he intended to turn around and leave. But he was kept there by Sophia for a little longer. Because in reality, she also had something to give. It was several types of cake that she had gotten earlier at the party. Sophia had brought back a little bit. Knowing that Louis was obsessed with this, but was too embarrassed to eat it in front of everyone, Sophia had deliberately brought it back, and didn't expect that she'd be able to bring it out for that young man to use like this. Louis felt that it was only when he was with Sophia that he dared to be himself. His girlfriend wanted to give him more things, but she hadn't prepared anything. He said that this cake was enough, and then he fed it to the person he loved, considering it a draw, not needing to think any further. Looking at that pure face, Sophia also opened her mouth and enjoyed it, feeling that it tasted even better than before. Probably because it was being fed to her by the person she liked. Here, Louis brought up the topic of personal preferences, recounting the time when he was often laughed at when he was younger. Whenever he ate sweets, it was like only girls liked eating cake. Because he was embarrassed. Louis, since then, didn't dare to tell anyone that he liked eating sweets. Hearing this, Sophia thought that everyone had the right to like something, and even if they were judged for it, no one had the right to laugh at them. Therefore, her upperclassman didn't need to restrain the things that he liked. As soon as she finished speaking, that young man hugged her. He himself had thought that today's party would have to end with him not being able to talk with her. Sophia said it was because everyone wanted to confide in her upperclassman. She herself knew that he was very well loved, so there was nothing she could do. When asked about whether she felt uncomfortable when he confided with other girls. Since at the party he saw that Sophia wasn't paying any attention to him, Sophia defended herself, saying she had glanced over several times. Knowing that he was overthinking it, she also leaned on his shoulder, because romantic relationships were very difficult to talk about. Wouldn't she just selfishly be forbidding the person she loved from being able to talk with women? Louis brought up the topic of making their dating public, but she objected. If they said it now, there was a chance that tomorrow she wouldn't dare to come to class. Her boyfriend promised to take care of it, but she felt that doing that would just be adding fuel to the fire, so for the time being, the matter of male-female love was best to just keep secret. Hearing this, Louis agreed, and then suddenly grabbed Sophia's body and pulled her to sit on his lap. In reality, he wanted to be more public, but oh well, he'd have to listen to what she said. Asking why, he learned that she was jealous because there were more people who would approach Sophia if they thought that she didn't have a boyfriend. Like at the party today, for example. She explained, there wasn't anyone except for Eddie and Isaac. They were only giving gifts to thank her for several things lately. She herself was still thinking about what she should give in return. Louis said that when that time came, he wanted to go choose it with her because he was jealous. Knowing this, Sophia advised him not to keep an eye on her too much, because she only loved him. Hearing this, the young man finally felt a little more at ease. To make sure, Louis wanted to exchange the kiss that they had missed the previous time. Seeing that the gorilla girl Sophia didn't say anything, that meant she was consenting. He just went ahead and exchanged their first loving kiss, but after kissing for a while, somehow, the Earth's gravity caused the two of them to fall on top of each other. After a moment of unconsciousness, Louis quickly regained his composure to apologize. If he continued to hold on to someone's daughter like that for another moment, he might actually devour her. Both sides looked awkward and bid their farewells. Before leaving, Louis invited his girlfriend to his room next time. Sophia froze for a moment, feeling as if her heart was about to melt. Today, the night squad had a day off, so most people went out to have fun. Captain Adler had just gotten dead drunk with his friends, feeling as if he was about to die. It was also because his friend had such high alcohol tolerance, drinking endlessly without getting drunk. It wasn't often he had a day off. So he tried to stay sober enough to do something fun. While he was complaining, a girl ran up and called him. Like other members of the night squad, he was quite the ladies' man, so many girls pursued him. One girl even came to ask when he would fulfill the date he had promised her previously. It was truly a joy to have so many girls caring for him. With them by his side, all his worries disappeared. Suddenly, Sophia's red hair flashed by, immediately catching his eye. Adler instantly realized that this was none other than the little gorilla he had set his sights on. Immediately, the young man used the blessing of the bird god to sprout 2 wings and chase after her, while promising the other girls he would take them out another time. From above, the captain saw Sophia helping people, guessing she was on patrol in the inner city. However, he felt that Sophia wasn't particularly special and didn't seem much like someone with the gorilla blessing. But because of her obedient, gentle, and kind nature, Sophia was always welcomed during her patrols. An older woman, seeing Sophia's slender figure and worried about her being an apprentice knight, was concerned about her running errands everywhere and making many friends. That's what Sophia was doing. Suddenly, at a restaurant, 2 drunk men were causing a commotion. Adler eagerly awaited his junior's resolution. As soon as Sophia arrived, she was targeted because she was a girl and was wearing an apprentice knight uniform. The 2 men encountered the little gorilla. Sophia alone was strong enough to defeat 100 men, no joke. So, Sophia immediately threw the 2 men outside. Everyone applauded. Adler grew increasingly fond of Sophia and approached her to strike up a conversation. Sophia had just finished helping someone and was looking at a cake shop, thinking of Louis. Captain Adler approached, asking for permission to call her by name, but Sophia was too shy to act intimately. When he asked what she was looking at so intently, she said she knew someone who loved sweets and was planning to buy some for that person. Adler turned to flirt, inviting her to hang out with him since he was done with work. He thought he would succeed, but no, this girl only liked Louis. So, she flatly refused. When inviting her didn't work, Adler considered using his authority to force Sophia. Seeing her hesitant and unable to speak clearly, Adler stopped teasing, letting her get back to work. And then left. Adler asked one last question: if the earlier invitation hadn't been in order, but from a boyfriend, would Sophia have agreed? Sophia made a difficult expression, giving him his answer. It was rare for him to be rejected by a girl like this, which made Adler a bit sad. He thought he'd have to fly around until evening to relieve his boredom. The scene shifts to the next day. Everything was wonderful. Isaac was waiting when Sophia rushed towards him at gorilla speed. She slammed right into him, but luckily, no bones were broken. Seeing her wearing the warm scarf he gave her, he was very happy. He felt incredibly pleased when he heard her say she was glad to meet him like this. Isaac acted cool, saying he would accept all of her burning strength, so it was fine if she hit him a few more times like before. The 2 then went shopping for clothes. Sophia shyly stepped out in a new dress, looking very fresh. They both enjoyed their day off to the fullest. Sophia mentioned that her best friend loved dogs, and Isaac thanked her because it was their first date after all. Sophia said she was very happy to go out like this, especially to be with him. Moreover, the 2 of them were now lovers. Just as it was getting to the most exciting part, Eddie suddenly woke him up, asking how long he was going to keep grinning. Isaac was about to kiss her, but when he fully woke up, he realized it was all just a dream, truly unbelievable. His friend didn't understand why he was relaxing here, thinking about something unknown. When asked about the dream, he didn't say, and Eddie didn't care to listen because he had also dreamed of having fun with Sophia earlier. In his dream, he was playing with cats when Sophia approached. Sophia seemed to like animals like this but didn't dare to touch them for fear of accidentally using too much strength and killing the cat. When asked about her love for cats, she said they were very cute and brought a healing feeling, so she adored them. Just thinking about that scene made his face turn completely red. Isaac found it strange and asked what the gentle look in his eyes was earlier. His friend didn't say, and so the 2 of them went outside to rest and sunbathe. Isaac couldn't stop thinking about Sophia, wondering if her patrol mission today was going well or not. Eddie guessed that with Sophia's personality, she would definitely help a lot of people, and would end up coming back late, just like a good person. Both agreed that Sophia had a very good heart. Isaac awkwardly asked if Sophia had taken an interest in any guy yet. Eddie was actually very interested in this question but didn't know how to answer, saying who knows? A few seconds later, Isaac asked the same question again, leaving his friend speechless. He had already said he didn't know, yet he kept asking sensitive questions. That afternoon, Sophia's group of female classmates were also shopping. Heroine, allowed to go out for the first time, was cultural shocked by Carissa's personality. Earlier, Carissa had chosen a dress for someone, thinking that from now on, her friend could escape those rustic clothes. Heroine was speechless because the dress was too flamboyant and didn't suit her style. The blonde girl thought it was because her friend lacked confidence, saying, "I think that outfit is very normal." Whenever Carissa saw someone lacking self-confidence, she felt annoyed. This reminded her of Sophia, because Sophia was very cute but always acted shy. She clearly had a top-notch face but didn't dress well, which was a waste of a natural gift. Understanding Sophia better, heroine was also very grateful. The whole group wanted to invite Sophia to hang out, but she was busy today, so they decided against it. As they were wondering what she was doing that day, they ran into each other. Seeing each other, the whole group was severely shocked and froze for a moment, because it turned out Sophia was an apprentice knight. After helping someone, Carissa demanded an explanation from Sophia, asking why Sophia always disappeared after school. It turned out she had to go on missions and train. Sophia apologized for hiding this, saying she wanted a peaceful school life, so she hoped they would keep her being an apprentice knight a secret. The blonde friend agreed but found it hard to understand why Sophia would hide this, because being an apprentice knight was something to be proud of. Sophia thought, should I tell them the real reason is because I'm afraid they'd be jealous? For the 4 girls, this job was wonderful. Heroine was also the type of person similar to Sophia, so she understood them well. They often paid attention to those around them, afraid of being noticed, always asking themselves if they were disliked. But after today, after hanging out with Carissa, she understood. She was trying to change to become more confident with her friends. At first, she was a little scared, but it turned out everyone was very easy to talk to. So she hoped Sophia would be a bit more open and not hide being part of the apprentice knight squad, because she was cool anyway, so why be self-conscious? Carissa also advised her to be herself, like herself for example. There are 365 days in a year, and not a single day does she lack confidence. Her 2 close friends praised her as if it were the truth, making Sophia realize that the reason this girl was confident was probably because she was always flattered by others. Since they were all friends now, they hoped Sophia would speak up if anything happened, without being shy. These words moved Sophia to tears. Carissa found her to be such a crybaby, not understanding how she was an apprentice knight. Speaking of which, the boys' crush asked if there were many hot guys in Sophia's squad. Sophia was too shy and said that everyone trained their bodies, so if hot meant that, then maybe. Hearing that, the whole group cheered wildly because of the handsome, muscular guys. Also, Sophia had to ask Carissa about the person who went with her earlier. Leohart actually had no connection to her at all. That day, Carissa only pretended to know him because he was handsome. That day, she was entering the hall when he started talking to her, so she let him in. Sophia was worried because she feared he might be involved in the bombing incident. Ignoring that, the other 3 wanted to take Sophia to try on clothes. So, they all happily ran off. A few days later, the Apprentice Knight squad had a training session at sea, and coincidentally, their annual martial arts tournament was also held. Although it was called a martial arts tournament, they didn't actually fight, instead, it was a competition to see which team was better. In total, there would be 3 groups, infantry, navy, and sharpshooters. The new recruits, like them, were divided so that their blessings from animal gods weren't too unbalanced. For example, a gorilla would obviously be too much if pitted against a mouse. And because of this, Sophia had to sit out today and couldn't participate due to her blessing being too unbalanced. Sophia would take on the role of a rescue worker. Before this, all 3 factions had targeted the girl with the blessing of the gorilla god, competing fiercely, resulting in Sophia being sidelined to avoid conflict. Isaac felt a bit regretful that someone as strong as her didn't have a chance to shine. He looked at Sophia in this outfit, which was incredibly dazzling, and even said he would try to get injured so Sophia would come and rescue him. Eddie told Isaac to drop that idea immediately, or he'd be dead. Besides them, there were also a few of Sophia's close female friends. The whole group was sitting there cheering for Sophia, which was quite amusing. When asked why they were there, Sophia said she had told them about the training session here yesterday. And it turned out to be a tourist spot. As a result, the group of girls decided to come and watch. Most importantly, who wouldn't want to attend a competition with handsome guys? Isaac innocently thanked them for coming to cheer. Eddie felt that this competition probably wouldn't be peaceful anymore. A while later, the captains were all ready. Everyone rallied the new recruits. Louis looked towards his girlfriend and felt pleased seeing Sophia cheering for him. The first challenge was an obstacle course to reach the finish line. Isaac, having the blessing of the dog god, ran very fast and quickly took the lead. He thought about Sophia praising him if he won first place. Unfortunately, there was a mountain climb ahead, so he had to be careful. Captain Wolf, who had the blessing of the wolf, quickly overcame the mountainous terrain and won. A domestic dog like Isaac was slower and came in second. Despite that, Isaac was still highly regarded. Wolf also extended an invitation for him to join his team once he became official. Next was the swimming competition. For this event, the 3 friends just bowed their heads and looked at each other. None of them were good at swimming. Even Isaac would sink as soon as he touched the water, so there was nothing to say. Eddie also said he couldn't swim. So their representative was only Louis. In this event, the Navy completely had the advantage. They possessed blessings from aquatic species, so Louis was at a considerable disadvantage since he was only a squirrel. Fortunately, Navy Captain Quan did not participate. Isaac wondered if this guy also couldn't swim like him. The other two were speechless. How could the top person in the Navy not know how to swim? His replacement was Robert, who was extremely confident. This young man approached Lewis to make a bet because he was praised as the youngest official knight candidate. Relying on his blessing of the orca, he wanted to make Lewis eat dirt when they were underwater. As soon as he entered the water, Robert indeed outclassed the other opponents. The girls were also thrilled to see the handsome guy swim so fast. As expected, the orca young man finished first. Lewis, despite being only a squirrel, still had enough strength to come in second. Sophia then went up to give him a towel, which made Robert's heart flutter. This young man, as boastful as he was equally shy around girls. Wondering why there was a girl here. He had never met a female apprentice knight before, so he was a bit surprised and even criticized Sophia for looking very weak. Robert tried to act tough, glaring at her, which scared her a bit, so she quickly ran to her beloved. Sophia's attitude changed completely. Lewis wasn't sad, because after all, his opponent was a fish, so losing was reasonable. That young man then continued to tease him a bit more. Just as he was about to criticize, Robert was reminded by his captain, who simply hoed, making him instantly shut up, which impressed Isaac. In the third event for sharpshooters, Eddie specialized in this and would compete against Captain Adler. This guy possessed top-tier shooting skills and outclassed all other opponents. Eddie knew his limits and didn't act rashly. He successfully shot down one person and then immediately changed position to avoid detection. Flying high above, nothing could escape the hawk's eye. A direct fight would definitely result in a loss, so Eddie resorted to a trick. Earlier, Captain Wolf had lent the young man a few things, ensuring he would win against Adler. From above, Adler assumed his only remaining opponent was a small kitten and went looking for it. How on earth did he see a pretty girl below? So he landed to investigate? After giving up his flying advantage, Adler was almost harmless. An eagle without wings is just a chicken, so Eddie easily won. The only drawback was that he played a bit dirty, even disguising himself as a girl, which was truly wicked. This was completely within the rules. It was only a fault of that guy for being a knight yet being careless around women, so losing was fair. On this side, Carissa and her companions were enjoying their outing while Sophia had to run around doing strenuous chores. The next event was a treasure hunt draw. The requirements were written on a paper, and if completed, it counted as a victory. A moment later, everyone simultaneously opened their drawn papers to see the contents. For some reason, after a while, 100 young men rushed towards Sophia. Every single one wanted to rely on her to complete the event. Sophia felt a bit nervous, like she was about to fight 100 men. Just then, her boyfriend Lewis arrived and immediately carried her away to another spot. After reaching the finish line, everyone was curious about what was written on Lewis's slip. After checking, the captain acknowledged that he had one, but didn't reveal the contents. Sophia suddenly felt an overwhelming sense of curiosity. She guessed that perhaps the paper said, "Bring the most violent girl to the finish line." On the girl's side, they were planning to approach the handsome guys. God had eyes, so he made that wish come true. On the night squad side, they received an urgent report of a landslide along the coast that caused several guests to fall into the water. So they rushed to the scene to rescue them. First, they had to minimize casualties and see if anyone was trapped in the rubble. Lewis had the bird team retrieve rescue supplies. The naval team was about to jump into the water but was warned about a dangerous school of poisonous fish below, so they had to be careful. Hearing this, their captain went out and ordered, "Start going down in 1 minute." He then used the blessing of the jellyfish to paralyze all the poisonous fish, while adjusting his power so as not to kill them. Robert, following the instructions from above, plunged into the sea after 1 minute, bringing the victims ashore. In this way, the situation was quickly resolved. Seeing that Carissa was still missing from the girls' group, Sophia anxiously asked where she was and learned she was still trapped. Hearing a cry for help, without much thought, Sophia activated her gorilla god power and leaped to the rescue. Naturally, gorillas cannot swim in the wild, so Sophia could only jump on floating objects. With her strength, she easily lifted her friend into the air. Carissa screamed in terror, and everyone on shore was left gaping. Just as they were about to fall, 2 young men came to help. Although not a fish, Lewis, seeing his girlfriend in danger, bravely jumped in after her. He was so fast that even the Sea King Robert had to acknowledge his strength and no longer look down on him. He had never thought anyone would dare to swim alongside someone with the blessing of an orca. After completing the training, everyone held a celebration party. Thanks to their efforts, the incident was quickly resolved. Carissa took this opportunity to approach Robert to get acquainted. Sophia was invited by Captain Wolf to join his team. Witnessing the power of the gorilla for the first time, he was very interested. Adler immediately rushed to compete, saying he had already had his eye on her. Seeing this, Quan also joined in, and although he knew gorillas couldn't swim, he still wanted to contend for her, saying that ships at sea also needed protection. He immediately appointed Sophia as his protector. A while later, Sophia finally escaped from the three old man captains. Outside, she immediately met her boyfriend. She was still curious about what was written on Lewis's slip in the treasure hunt competition, so she asked him. The young man shyly replied that the content was "bring the person you want to protect here," which was nothing short of a confession of love, making Sophia very happy. Lewis also gave her a kiss on the hand, saying he wanted to kiss her on the lips but was afraid of being seen. He also promised to continue protecting her like he did today. Just as things were getting exciting, Isaac, as usual, came to interrupt. Eddie immediately understood the situation and reminded Isaac to pay attention to the atmosphere. Just then, there were fireworks, so the four friends enjoyed them together. Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell to stay updated when the channel releases a new video. Thank you. Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell to stay updated when the channel releases a new video. Thank you.